Sure, sir, I'll do.
Nice.
And to the YouTube team too.
So you have several tech teams, like a YouTube team, a Google Meet team, and
Because the Meet team will be here
yeah,
and the YouTube team will be looking after things there.
Yeah.
They'll be sharing their screen.
yeah, it's really a big thing you are doing here. It's great.
And they have to bring the questions from there on to this Meet. So these
Okay.
two teams have to coordinate.
Okay.
So I've kind of told them that they are all DJs for today. They arrange and mix and play the music.
I
Very
think we
good.
call them VJs.
Oh, it's the first masterclass. Oh,
Yes.
great.
You're making history, Dr. Fee.
That's good to know.
Our first ever masterclass speaker. So we're going to remember you for a long time.
Oh, okay. That's great. It's a primary effect, right? We have the recency and primary, so this is like primary effect in marketing. That's good.
We are trying to make this a brand.
Ah, really?
Yeah. And this IMW into a brand, and
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we actually, actually you are probably introducing, but then we still need 2 or 3 minutes, Amir and myself, to share the screen, right? But hopefully it works. We really tried it out a lot.
yes. Okay.
Oh,
Now
so
we are
ready?
exactly at 1800 India.
Ah,
So we start. Right. Good afternoon, Germany, and good evening, India. We are starting the day 2 of the International Masterclass Week 2022. Today we are on the Masterclass 1. We have Professor Fee Steinhoff. Let me introduce you all. The speaker, Professor Fee Steinhoff, is a professor of innovation management at Hochschule Koblenz, Rheinland campus, Germany. Previous to her academic role, Fee Steinhoff headed the user-driven innovation unit at Deutsche Telekom Innovation Laboratories, a unit that uses innovation research and design thinking to enable group-wide systematic development of user-centric product and service ideas. She holds a PhD in innovation marketing from the Technical University Berlin and an MA in business and engineering. Her teaching and research interests are in the area of innovation research, experience management, innovation leadership and coaching, and agile project management. Over to you, Dr. Fee Steinhoff. The class is all yours, and you're starting the first masterclass of the first International Masterclass Week event of Department of Management Studies, School of Management, Pondicherry University. Dr. Fee.
thank you very, very much for this kind introduction. So I'm very excited to be the first one here in this great program. And I'm also excited whether I can tackle to open the file. We talked already about it. We had some Mac Google Meet problems here, but Amir is my guy who helps me, and we just try it now. But first of all, a very, very warm welcome to my lecture. I'm really happy to be here. I already told the others in the room that we had 2 amazing students from India at Rhein-A campus in the last semester, and they were part of my lecture, and it was really, really very nice to have them there, and I'm happy to be here. Okay, so let me start to open my file. So you have, let's see, this is really exciting because, wait a second. Okay. Let's see. And it doesn't work. Wait a second. We try again. Okay. Okay, can you see it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's great. So, as I said, my name is Fee Steinhoff, and have the big pleasure to talk today about a topic I like a lot, which is innovation experience management. And I actually decided to take a practical view on the topic because I know we are having different backgrounds, and this is kind of an introduction into this topic. Okay, let's see. So let's take a look on the agenda. First, I will start with a short introduction and stress the relevance of the topic. After that, I will talk about the concept of experience management, of innovation experience management, and I will round up with a little summary. And after that, we can have a discussion. So if you have any questions, just write them down and then we can talk about it. Introduction. So first of all, if we think about innovation, then innovation actually determines how we work, how we travel, how we live. So if you think about digital offerings like TikTok, Spotify, Netflix, Airbnb, but also physical.
Ma'am,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you just check the slide again? If you can slide back and forth.
Yeah, we have a problem. I can see it. Yes, you have a mixture of slides, right?
Yeah, you can stop presenting and start presenting again.
Okay. So you see, this is a real case of innovation experience management. So I stop presenting. So, and we try again. Presenting one window. Let's see. Looks better, right?
Much better.
Much better. So hopefully this is also for the next slides. So, okay, back to the slide. So if you think about digital innovation, right, like TikTok, Spotify, Airbnb, Netflix, but also like physical products, the iPhone, drones, yeah, smart speakers. So this all has a really strong influence on our lives as consumers, yeah. I brought 2 definitions with me about what is an innovation. So Barnett, he already said quite early, he said in 1953, he said, an innovation is any thought, behavior, or thing that is new because it is qualitatively different from existing forms. So it doesn't always have to be this big thing, this iPhone. It can be also like little new ideas, little new behaviors, whatsoever. That's also an innovation. Another quite famous definition is from Moore and Tushman, and they said, most generally, innovation can be seen as a synthesis of a market need with the means to achieve and produce a product to meet that need. And at the end, actually, innovation needs to create value for customers. Customers are the ones who actually decide the worth of an innovation by voting with their wallets, right? So next slide. Yeah, it works. So actually, in terms of value for the customer, in our day, the experience of innovation is actually key. So I brought some quotes from Steve Jobs, who actually was fanatic about the Apple experience. Yeah? And he said things like, one of the things I've always found is that if you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards for the technology, you can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. Yeah. Another quote is, when you open the box of an iPhone or iPad, we want that tactile experience to set the tone for how you perceive the product. Or the third one Monday morning, I didn't sleep last night because I realized that I just don't love it, the iPhone. Guys, you've killed yourself over this design for the last 9 months, but we are going to change it. Yeah, so Apple was and is an amazing innovator. Just recently, the Boston Consulting Group placed Apple again on top of the most innovative companies of 2021. In fact, experience is highly business relevant. So we know from studies and from the literature that we have 5 key return on investment from user experience, which is actually one part of innovation experience. We will see this later on. So we tend to have boosted overall revenue and conversion, increased customer satisfaction, lower support calls, reduced development base, and all in all, a reduced risk of building the wrong thing. Yeah, even in terms of empirical hard data, we know studies that, for example, you have approximately 3 times stock performance for customer experience leaders versus laggards. Okay, so we now know the topic is relevant, but we don't know yet what is actually innovation experience management. Yeah, so let's focus on that. Let me start with the term experience itself. So as you can see on this photo, experience has a lot to do with emotions and feelings. Yeah, so the little girl obviously enjoys the experience of jumping into the puddle and feeling the water drops. Yeah, from a more theoretical side, experience is actually a result of a comparison of needs and offer that leads to emotions, cognitions, and actions. Yeah, and often the perception of experience is driven by unconscious processes. Let's turn to experience of products. So experience actually goes beyond the product itself. On the left side, you can see a regular tomato ketchup bottle. On the right side, you see the same product, but with a better experience potential. Why? Because it addresses a well-known user problem, which is how to get the tomato ketchup out of the bottle, especially if you don't have much ketchup left. Yeah, so turning the bottle actually upside down definitely leads to a better experience for the customer. Yeah, so a very simple example. Some other simple examples. So how would you rate actually the experience of the left side? Would you like to sit this close to trash bins? How does it feel for you as a human being, as a customer? Yeah. But also, I said Apple is great in experience, but I also have kind of a negative example from Apple. you maybe know this little user interface. So you are having a phone call, another phone call is coming in, and it shows you this interface. Yeah, does this also confuse you? I'm completely, actually my brain literally stops working when I see this. I never know what to do. Yeah, and I say, okay, don't do anything. Yeah, so it's too complicated. But how about these little ideas, little innovations? So on the left side, I think this is really a very customer-oriented product because it addresses a problem. It addresses the problem that I don't really know how much spaghettis shall I take when I have 2, 3, or 4 people at home, yeah, or visitors, for example. And also the right side, changing bed sheets can be really annoying. I don't know if you remember when you changed your bed sheets the last time. And really like simply tagging the short side and the long side makes such a big difference. It's so much more convenient. Yeah, this is really a nice experience. So how to actually create a convincing innovation experience? To make it very simple, it means creating the innovation through the eyes of the customer, 100%, 150%. And basically, as an innovator, you have to focus on 3 aspects, which is utility, user experience, and customer experience. Let's dive into that and start with utility. So innovators should start focusing on addressing real human problems and needs. As Steve Jobs said in the beginning in the quote, you've got to start with the customer and work backwards for the technology. But how to do that? On this slide, you can see something a lot of companies are doing. Some people call it features. Yeah, features meaning putting as much functionalities into new products and services as it is somehow possible. But very often, customers or users only need some of the functions and are completely overwhelmed by the complexity of the offerings. So as an innovator, you need to find out what are the really useful functions. So how do you do that? Maybe you've heard of the famous quote from Henry Ford. He said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So only asking customers what they want doesn't help. You really need to take in a proactive research, yeah? Meaning having a very deep understanding of the user's problems and needs. So on this slide, you can see some exemplary research questions to focus on, like what are the users trying to accomplish? What problems prevent users from accomplishing their goals? Who are the users who run into each problem? Stuff like that. And one quite nice approach to do that is called the jobs to be done approach. And it's actually, let's start with an example. So people actually, they don't want LPs or CDs or MP3s. They want to listen to music. And it makes sense for an innovator to create a job map based on user research, finding out which jobs the customer actually has to perform to get the job listen to music done. Starting from define, locate, prepare, confirm, actually execute, meaning listening to music, monitor, modify. So there are a lot of steps the customer has to go through in order to perform the job, listen to music. And if you really derive such a job map with research, then you have a lot of strategic possibilities. So you can think about getting a job or some jobs radically better than existing solutions, or addressing more jobs, or go beyond functional jobs towards emotional jobs. So if you think about MP3, the MP3 solution simply addressed more jobs. It enabled not only to listen to music, but also to locate, prepare, and modify the music much more easily compared to the former technologies, LPs and CDs. Actually, in some, a combination of user research tools is needed. There is this famous quote from Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman. He said, consumers don't think what they feel, don't say what they think, and don't do what they say. So this does not mean that we should not listen anymore to customers or to consumers, but we need to be very specific, and we need to combine, for example, what people say and what they do in terms of observations. Yeah, we have to listen really carefully also to what has not been said. We have to wisely interpret what is meant, and at the end use a lot of empathy to understand feelings and emotions. Yes, when you tackled the first aspect of innovation experience management, then unfortunately, the job is not done yet. You have to go to the next aspect, which is user experience. And user experience tries to, or your task as an innovator is to optimize the experience in the product, in the usage context. Yeah. So again, an Apple example, when the iPhone was introduced in 2007, there was a big hype about all the functionalities like multi-touch display, email, maps, cameras. But actually the competitor of that time, which was HTC, actually already had these things plus more. So what was the difference? The difference was the user experience, and especially the intuitiveness of the iPhone. Yeah. All the iPhone apps actually had similar user interfaces, and they often looked even like how they look in the real world, which makes it easier for us, for users and consumers. There is this famous quote, I like it a lot. It says, user interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's not that good. Yeah, so it really has to work by itself. So let's jump into another, let's say, everyday example. Imagine you came home after a long day and you are ready to have some relaxing tea. You place a tea bag in your favorite cup, get some boiled water, you're all set. Normally, you perform these tasks without even thinking about the steps or about the products. You just do it. But what if your pot or your cup looked like this? Then probably it would be very frustrating for you to drink your tea. And there is this favorite quote from Don Norman. He's kind of the father of user experience. He said, "Don't make me think." Yeah, usability is meaning sure things work well and are easy to use. Yeah, so like people should be able to use your product without finding the process frustrating or annoying. Like for me, the Google Meet process. Yes, so and user experience actually additionally includes joy of use. Yeah, so you should not only, it should not only be easy, you should also have some positive feelings with it. So let's take this little example, or why is joy of use important? Emotions play a big role in the context of innovation because customers buy feelings, not so much features. So your innovation should avoid negative and evoke positive emotions. So in this case, use of humor to provoke feelings of joy during a hopefully everyday activity of human beings, right? So the big question is how to get there, yeah? How to really achieve a good user experience. So to make it very, very simple, yeah, of course, it's much more complicated. You need a really profound user experience design process based on iterative user experience, prototyping, and testing. Yeah, so start with quick and dirty models of your idea. For example, by designing paper prototypes, which do not cost that much money. Yeah, and later on, you develop digital or even interactive digital prototypes to get feedback on features and also on transitions. Yeah, and very important is to get a direct feedback from your real users. So after UX prototyping, you need UX testing. Yeah. So if you take a look at this cartoon, the user, in this case, the baby, might have a completely different perspective than other stakeholders. So literally, parents see nice little animals, the baby sees not that attractive backsides of the animals. Yeah, so direct feedback is important, and there are a lot of user experience testing tools like cognitive walkthroughs, usability tests, field tests, whatsoever, which you can use to actually get feedback to your prototype. Yes, so you tackled utility, you tackled user experience, then you have another task to do, which is also not that easy, but very important. It's optimizing the experience in the market context. Yeah, so this goes beyond the usage of the product and focuses on the whole customer journey. So it is actually, so the general idea is that you want to, that every single interaction you have with your customer actually is an opportunity to create something remarkable. So customer experience is a journey that includes a lot of touch points, yeah? Long phases like awareness, so the customer first has to be aware of the innovation, there is something coming up, then the customer needs to have some interest, needs to evaluate the innovation, then we have the purchase phase, we have the startup process, then we utilize the innovation, we might have some problems and change something, and then we quit, or maybe we have a renewal, yeah? And this customer experience management actually includes advertising, marketing, brand image, sales, customer service, and support. And in terms of innovation experience management, you really should walk in the shoes of your customers, yeah, along the whole journey, and really dive with a lot of empathy into the faces and think about what is the customer experience in each of these processes and how can I optimize that. Researcher, he's called Stefan Tomke, and he's doing a lot of research about this topic, and he frames it like that. He says, ask yourself this: is your company trying to minimize complaints or maximize customer delight? Yeah, and he actually suggests 5 areas which you should focus on. It's about stimulating the senses. Yeah, this has a lot to do with the emotions you want to evoke. Turn disappointment into delight. Yeah, so when something went wrong with your innovation in the process, yeah, you have to be very kind to the customer. So at the end, there is even more delight than without the problem. Plan to surprise, tell compelling stories, run controlled experiments. So this is really a broad field. I just, due to our time, I just brought a little example. So for example, surprise the customer with secret messages. So what can you see here? You have here on the left side, an etiquette on a shirt with a message, always wear me on a first day. You will do awesome. Yeah, so this is a little nice note to the customer, which makes the customer actually smile. Yeah, or we have some sweets here, some wild strawberry sweets from London, and below the packaging, you can read, "You are a curious one. I like you." Yeah, so messages like that really make your customer smile, which is super important, especially in our days. Yeah. Yes, let's turn to a summary and a discussion. To sum it up, innovation experience management, of course, it seems to be easy because basically you only have 3 main tasks. Yeah. So you should maximize the utility by focusing on addressing real human problems and needs. Yeah. Optimizing the experience in the product, in the usage context. And after that, going even beyond that by optimizing the experience in the market context along the whole customer journey. And if you take a look on this topic from the customer's point of view, you actually want the customer to shout out, "The innovation is useful to me. It meets my needs, yeah? And I'm able to use the innovation easily. And I like the way the innovation looks and feel. And my overall feeling is very good. I have positive moments of choose along my whole journey." Yeah. At the end, even if you did a great job and your developer really developed a very simple, intuitive user interface. Oh, I lost. Can you see still my slides? Yeah. Okay. At the end, the customer decides how to use your innovation. Yeah. So as you can see here, the developer had a plan here, but the cats use it in a different way. But at least they seem to have a lot of fun with it. Yeah. So it's actually okay. Yeah, let me close with some recommendations. So if you really want to dive deeper in the topic, first of all, you can come to Germany and come into my lectures. There we go really intensively in all the different topics. And before you can do that, maybe you can read also some books. So there's this really nice one from Jim Kalbach. It's called The Jobs to Be Done Playbook. There is also a very nice one from Jamie Levy. It's called UX, User Experience Strategy. And if you want to dive even deeper into the design process of user experience, we have The Laws of UX of John Jablonski. Yes, I think I was quite fast. Only 30 minutes, but then we have more time for questions and comments and thoughts, because now I'm through with it. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you learned something, and I'm really curious about your questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fee Steinhoff. That was a very energetic, very nicely arranged presentation, triggering a lot of, deeper insights that we could think about for hours together on each of your slides. Now we are waiting for questions. We have 2 sets of audiences.
Mm-hmm.
One group is inside this Google Meet.
Yes.
And another is watching from YouTube.
Yeah.
So the YouTube guys' questions will be brought into this chat box too.
Mm-hmm.
And all the questions will come here.
Yeah, maybe I should stop sharing the presentation. Is this okay? Then I think it's easier for me. Is it okay? I have a better view on you. Or did I stop already? Do you see my slides?
Your slides have closed.
No, Professor.
Okay, that's what I thought. So Google, this was very intuitive of Google, because Google realized by itself that I don't need the slides anymore. That's good. Okay, now it's easier for me. Yes.
Students and anybody who has any questions, please. Please type it in the chat box.
Yeah, ma'am, now typing will take time. So rather than that, I'll direct it out.
Okay. That is for Bilal.
Dr. Fee, it's wonderful. Your lecture is awesome, very simple, and it's very clear. And most important is your language is very clear, unlike Americans, which is very with a lot of twists and turns. Yeah, so I'm Dr. Motilal, professor of management in the same department. See, very often I get what is that? I get a lot of what you call feel very much unhappy with the companies, the way they introduce the product, and they leave it to the customers and let them experience and die whatever it is. And there is absolutely no way to connect to the companies. They can collect feedback and improve, but nowhere I have noticed ever till today, no company has called me despite my what do you call writing to so many companies, including most of the MNCs. So what about in your country or maybe in Europe, elsewhere? What is the process of improving? Because companies know they introduce product in the market and leave it. Is there any proper mechanism so that they collect feedback from the users? Like the way you explained, it's very good that from users actually are the ones they should have a joy of using it. Instead of that, it should not become a burden with so much of criticizing and unhappy. Right now, I'm using like that so many products like that with every day cursing those companies. But ultimately spending money and all that, we cannot leave the product unused.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very interesting question. And actually, I talked a lot about this proactive user research in the beginning, but I didn't talk anymore about the user research at the end. And that's actually after you are on the market, after you actually created a convincing innovation experience, and you go with your product to the market, you launch the product, then of course you have to measure the customer experience. It's not only walking in the shoes of a customer from a, let's say, theoretical point of view with empathy and stuff like that. It's also measuring the real experience. You absolutely have to do that as an innovator. And you have different possibilities to do that. Of course, if you have a digital product, there is a lot of possibility to measure data, right? To get some data about whatsoever, all the processes in the journey. And so, of course, you should also have some like little surveys, And what you stated is also very interesting because we have a lot of customers who proactively give feedback to the companies, by telling them, I had a problem here, I had a problem there, and company which is good in the field of innovation experience management has a process to gather this data and to react to it, because this is so valuable when customers take their time to write down their feedback or to give the feedback. And my perception is that also in Germany, a lot of companies still have work to do in this area, right? So there is still something to do for a lot of them, unfortunately. So they have to come to my lectures, and then all the students who are going into their jobs, they do a better job. That's my hope. Let's see. But thank you for the question. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't stress that point at the end. Measuring the real experience is, of course, also part of innovation experience management and optimizing it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Professor Omar, you're not audible.
Sorry?
Professor Omar is trying to
Amir
speak,
has
but
a question.
Sorry. Yeah.
Do you think customers are rational or irrational?
Somehow, probably, obviously both. Yeah, that's why I also said we have to combine the different research methods. Yeah, like not only listening to what they say, also really interpreting. Yeah, by for example observations. So is this congruent? Is this like what they say and what they do, or do we have some? What do you call this? Do we have some difference here? Yeah. So then you have to really, like a psychologist, actually dive into the reasons for that. Yeah, so very often, actually, at least in Germany, the user experience researchers are psychologists. Yeah, because they really learned how to not only listen to the customer, but also really interpreting like facial things and stuff like that. Yeah.
I usually say in my consumer behavior class that irrational is not the opposite of rational.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a mixture, right? Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Harita has a question. Which
Yeah.
one business model's innovation you look up to?
You mean which business model innovation I really like?
You really liked.
I really liked. Let me think. Actually, I just to be honest to you, I'm not that into sports, and I'm now in an age where I realize I have to change that if I want to be a healthy old woman someday. And I bought a Peloton bike. I don't know if you know that, which cost a lot of money, but for me this was really, the experience was very interesting because they really gave me a lot of impulses what to do to really start doing sports, and also the business model behind it. Yeah, so I had to buy the bike. Yeah, but I also have to, so for the ones who don't know Peloton, it's actually a bike, like a home trainer bike, and you have some real courses on your screen. Yeah, you have people talking with you, and actually it feels like having the trainer in your room. So it's Mike Jäger is a guy I'm doing some courses with, and actually I would marry him. If I wouldn't be married, I would marry him because he gives me so much the feeling that I'm doing a good job in my sports and stuff like that. And yeah, so I had to buy the bike, and I also have to pay money for the courses. So this is really a lot of money, but the whole business model was the whole innovation ecosystem was very convincing for me. So this is a really nice experience. And I started doing sports. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any questions? Anybody? Would you like to ask? Come on to the group and ask the question.
Yeah.
Anyone? Yeah.
I see a question here in the chat, like from Dr. Victor.
Yes.
Shall I take that one?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a very good comment. We distinguish innovation as disruptive or incremental, or also at radical and incremental. And the question is, how relevant is innovation experience in the case of incremental innovation? Probably it is as relevant as with disruptive and radical innovation, but it's not that difficult because the incremental innovation is only the small step, right? The small improvement. So probably the experience for the innovation itself is already good, hopefully, and you only tackle little things. Yeah, and very often incremental innovation result from customer research, like from people like Dr. Motelli-Lam, who gives some feedback to the companies and say, please change this and that. And then the company changes it and introduces a little and incremental innovation. So it's as relevant, I would say, but it's not as difficult because in terms of disruptive and radical innovation, it's of course much more difficult to walk in the shoes of the customers. Yeah, because there's no innovation yet, or no product or service yet on the market. So you really can't really, for example, it's difficult to learn from competitors or something because you don't have any competitors. So you need much more empathy to really think about all the little steps and all the little functionalities. Yeah. Yeah, what Steve Jobs says, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. That's why I never really rely on market research. That's interesting. That's a comment I heard a lot also in my telecom times, because user research, of course, costs money, right? And there are some guys who say, hey, Steve Jobs said, you never did any market research. But there is actually some literature about it, because this is a misconception. Because what he didn't use this Henry Ford style of market research, asking customers what you want, but he used a lot of these kind of more proactive, implicit user research, observing customers, what are they doing the whole day, to then develop the idea by himself or in terms of the Apple teams, and then introducing it to the market. So in my opinion, it's a misconception. He didn't do that much traditional market research, but very much this kind of qualitative diving into the world of the customers, being fanatic about it, yeah? Also from kind of an empathy style, as this quote said, guys, I didn't sleep last night, I was thinking about it, it's not good enough, the iPhone. This is a question of empathy, having a lot of empathy for the customer and really thinking about it. How does it feel for it? And that's, in my opinion, is research. It's not market research. It's more or less user experience research. It's more complicated.
Okay. Sharat has a question. According to you, where is innovation more important? Is it in science or business?
In science or business? I mean, of course, in terms of launching new products and services, if we talk about that in terms of a business aspect, it's very important. But as we learned, innovation is not only a thing, it can be also a thought or behavior. Yeah. So this means in science, people are also innovating. Scientists are also innovating somehow because they develop something qualitatively different from existing ideas or theories. So in both areas.
Maybe inventions, right?
Yeah.
Science is probably giving you inventions.
Inventions. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the difference between inventions and innovation is that innovation also has this commercializing aspect. Yeah. So meaning it starts with an invention, but then somehow you have to commercialize it, which means if you want customers to open their wallet and to pay for it, you better make a good job in terms of the innovation experience management. Yeah.
Okay, now Sridhar has a question. Now, how do you rebuild an innovative culture in a company like Nokia, which has lost its market after the entry of smartphone companies?
Yeah, good question. This is actually something I'm focusing in my innovation leadership and coaching course. Yeah. So there are several aspects. Yeah. So in my opinion, the team culture is very, very important. And there are, for example, maybe you heard of psychological safetiness, which is an interesting construct, whether people feel safe in their team to say if they didn't understand something or if they have a different opinion to other people and stuff like that. And I think this is really very important because nowadays innovation is so complicated. You need interdisciplinary teams, right? You need people from marketing, you need tech people, young people, old people, men, women, different cultures, different countries. And of course, it's not that easy for them to work together, or it takes some effort to really speak the same language, to understand each other and stuff like that. And we know from the design thinking research that when you are doing creative stuff, normally you come into a so-called groan zone, yeah, where it really gets difficult, yeah, where you have different opinions. And the question is, do you have a high level of psychological safetiness so people are brave enough to say their opinion and to really work with each other? It's like plussing. People call this plussing. One person gives an idea, the other one builds on the idea and stuff like that. So for me, it has a lot to do with really the everyday working culture in the innovation teams. Yeah, is it okay to make failures? Is another topic. Failure culture. Yeah, because innovating means making failures. And if you have a culture where the management directly blames you when something runs wrong, then you won't be innovative. That's the way it is. So that's what you can do to actually improve the innovation culture, working on topics like that. Collaboration, other people really collaborating, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Maria has a question. Has Koblenz taken steps to promote the ideas of students?
Yes, we have actually. We have people working on that. And we, in my colleague Mareike Heinzen, who kind of created this BA and MA, Management, Leadership and Innovation, she actually has a course in the MA which is called Venturing, new product venturing or something like that. And students really develop real ideas, and they also pitch it in front of companies. And there is it's called, I think, Gründungszentrum, right? Maybe you have Bockmann, you know better, Gründungszentrum. And they actually help the students to work further on the idea, to commercialize the idea. But as I said, we started our MA last semester, so we are kind of here in the beginning phase. But there are people who help students to act like an innovator and to be an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Great. We have Anjit's question, Ajayan. He says, can you elaborate on the point of telling compelling stories to bring emotion into the customer journey? Storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling. I have one example I use in my lecture, which I really liked. It was a company who is like a doing some for house in there to improve stuff in the house, yeah, like painting the walls and stuff like that. How do you call this? I don't know. Handwerker, Mr. Borgmann. What's a Handwerker company?
Sorry, do-it-yourself company, for example.
Yeah,
okay,
something like that. Yeah. And they used and they used a little story in the social media which they posted, and they said there was this little boy in the house who helped them, yeah, and they gave the little boy some money and wrote a little nice letter, yeah, with kind of here you find your invoice, what you all did for us. You baked us some nice little cookies. You helped us doing our jobs and so forth. So please take this 10 euros because you were really the most important employer for us to do this job in the house or something. And they posted it. This is kind of these emotional little stories you try to combine with your service, with your product. Yeah, stuff like that. But that is, of course, not easy. You need to be creative to develop these little things and then to actually implement them.
Okay, now we have Lakshman. His question is, looking at the innovation index, 5 out of top 10 countries are in Europe. I think companies and government there put a lot of emphasis on innovation. And what can other nations learn from that?
To be honest, innovation costs money, and I really experienced that at Deutsche Telekom, where it's really hard if you have a lot of great ideas, but I mean, having ideas is not that, doesn't cost that much money, but really implementing the ideas in terms of design it and really like producing it costs a lot of money. And you always have to take a look, if we talk about most innovative companies, it's always interesting to have a look on how much money do they use in their innovation projects, yeah, in order to kind of have a relative view on that. Yes, that's actually all I can say about that at the moment. Yeah.
Yes, there's no free lunch. Innovation.
That's no free lunch.
Now, yeah. Amir has a question. Technology is always a work in progress. So will there ever be an end to consumer products innovation, and why?
do I see this here? Because I didn't really understand the second part.
Technology is still in progress. Will there be an end to consumer products innovation, and why?
An end to consumer
Why?
product innovation. So you mean that we don't need any consumer innovations anymore, or what?
I also didn't get you exactly, Amir. So between you.
Yes. So because products are always being innovated and improved, so do you think with enough technology we will have perfect products in the market where we no longer need to improve? Like,
Probably not.
No.
No, because also the consumer
No.
would be a dream, but because also, let's say, the consumer behavior is changing so much, right? That's why there's never this one end. You always have to measure how is the experience now, what has changed, yeah, what in terms of customer. If you think about now the Corona pandemic, yeah, so there's this a big change in terms of consumer behavior. People are much more at home. They are afraid of stuff like this. Has very strong influences on innovating companies. Yeah, so they really have to think about what do I do with that? How do I deal with that? Yeah, how can I make the consumers feel secure about my service or something like that? If you think about the travel industry, yeah, people are afraid to book travel, to book some flights and stuff like that. You need to invent some features, services that there is less risk on the consumer side, so that they really are brave enough to still book hotels, stuff like that, and that they feel really secure. And so it's always going on. There's never an end, I guess.
Lawrence, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would like to add to that. I think Fee is right that the outside circumstances really changed quite radically, or at least over the last couple of years, we had the impression they have. But even if they don't, when I grew up, in my home, we had a black Bakelite telephone, which had perfect sound, actually. So you would have thought, yeah, it has been perfectly developed to the point. There were never any outages. It would always work. The sound was always good. We didn't have crossed lines at the time. One would have thought at that time that that is the end of the line for telephone. And then suddenly these smartphones came. And I mean, who of us said we need something where we can use our fingers to type a text? Nobody would have thought that we would even do something like that. If we can just hold the receiver and speak, and the other person gets our message much faster. So I think the innovations are driving us. Something is invented, and I don't even find it plausible that texting has become so important, because certainly in the 1970s, I didn't think that we needed it, but somebody invented it as a byproduct, and then it took off. And now, to be quite honest, I use my telephone more for texting than for making telephone calls. So even if the outside world hasn't changed so much, the innovators are driving us. I don't know how they do it. I don't know whether this is good or bad, but I think this is happening.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is true, Lawrence. We have the tiger by the tail and we can't let it go. So the innovation is the tiger and we are hanging on to its tail sometimes. And we have some repeat questions. Ratna Murugan, Vishal Singh, Harita, they all have a similar kind of a question. What does it take to make a good innovation strategy or manage an innovation portfolio?
Yes, what does it take? It takes, in my opinion, it takes to have really a good ear to the market. Yeah, like having both sides, like having tech people who are really into tech trends, what's going on in the tech world, and at the other side having these user research, user experience people having an ear into how does the consumer behavior is changing, what's going on there. And also having the ability to take a look into the future, like using foresight methods, like scenario analysis, for example, yeah, working very much with trends, yeah, and really reflecting them for the own company and thinking about what does it mean for us, yeah, what is an important step to do and not to do, always with the perspective technology on the one side and customer market on the other, which again is a question of culture, because you need the tech and the marketing people to really work together, which sounds easy, but it's not easy because they speak really different languages, and it's an effort to, but it's really worse to do that, but to enable teams to really work together and to put their knowledge together. And then I guess, yeah, of course, there are tools to develop strategies, right? Like portfolio approaches where you can kind of spread the risk and say, let's do 2 big projects and 4 small ones, and we have to do something in the area of artificial intelligence, for example, even when we are, for example, this was telecom case, even when we are not good at this topic yet, yeah, because the world is changing in this direction, so we have to build up capabilities. Yeah, so it's a strategic decision to do artificial intelligence projects, for example, stuff like that.
I have a strange question here.
Oh.
The Vignesh, he says sometimes innovation are becoming a disadvantage for the growth of the company. Is it so, and how?
For the growth of the company? Yeah, I mean, this is maybe the question of cannibalization, right? So if you think about, let's say, in Germany, we had these SMS. I don't know what SMS in like texting technology, SMS, and you had the WhatsApp technology, right? And at some point, telecommunication providers had to decide to jump onto the chatting technologies, which means that you don't get any revenue or not that much revenue anymore for your SMS. So you kind of you have to cannibalize yourself as a company in order to be future oriented. Yeah. So, and this is also a difficult question, when to jump to the new technology. Yeah. Or if you think about fixed line communication.
I think we've lost Fee here.
Yes,
somehow.
Yes. I got a doubt whether it was me who was out.
No. I think we have lost her. So while she's trying to reconnect, I would like to say we would like to see your students here at Rhein-Ahr campus to continue this discussion with them. Some of you may already have heard about this, and it's perfectly possible to apply for a scholarship. It's actually a pretty generous scholarship, so do try to apply for it. Get in touch with Dr. Victor and Dr. Uma. They know everything about this. And maybe we can see you in Germany in the next semester. I promise you, we will put you in contact with Fee Steinhoff. And I just see that she's back here in the room. Okay. And you will be able to take part in her classes. I think you will have noticed that it is easy to follow us in English, so you will understand us. It's another question whether we understand you if you speak as quickly as you usually do, but you will certainly understand what we are doing. And if you liked what you saw today from Fee, maybe you should put that onto your next SMART goal list, and maybe going to Germany is the next innovation step in your life. Back to Fee. I just covered a little bit with the commercial break fee.
Great, great. We had some technical problems here. Yeah.
Actually, that was the design. We had these master classes so that we could get really good competition among the applicants for all the universities, all the foreign universities. You know, they have to work for these chances.
Yeah.
We don't just dole it out to them. So our students have to work, and that time has started ever since we thought about this International Masterclass Week. Yes.
Yes, I think
It is time now. So unless you can spare more time, I think, shall we call it a day, or would you like to spend a little more time? Is it all right for you?
if there is still the question or something, I can, let's say, handle.
I don't see any new questions because I see repeats in the ideas,
Yeah.
in the questions. So I think we'll call it a day.
We call it a day. It's okay.
Dr. Motilal has raised a hand. Dr. Motilal, would you like to say something?
Ma'am, I have a question. I already posted in this one. See, how do professors keep innovating?
How do professors keep innovating?
Innovating, and professors in the sense professors of any subject and every subject. So how do they remain updated?
Yeah.
So is there any model that in general, all the professors in Europe, you have some kind of a model or not?
I guess it's quite a subjective way of doing it. Yeah, it's like of keeping the pace with the literature, really reading the new literature. And we talked about LinkedIn at the beginning, and maybe you also saw in my slides, I love LinkedIn. In my area, innovation management, I get a lot of cartoons or little ideas or little examples out of this communication channel, for example. Yeah, if we only talk about the practical little tools. In terms of scientific knowledge, of course, it's like reading all the important journals. Yeah, like for me, the Journal of Product Innovation Management, for example, something like that. But it's a good question because I mean, I worked 12 years for Deutsche Telekom in different functions in the innovation management. So there is a lot of practical know-how, but still I must be aware of not losing it. Yeah. So I'm now since 3.5 years at the university or at Hochschule Koblenz, and in such a business relevant topic like innovation management, it's really important to really get still information out of the market from my network, and like attending little webinars from consulting companies who are introducing new tools and stuff like that. Yeah, but I don't think there is a process everyone uses. This is very, but that's how I try to really not lose the contact to practice.
I always tell everybody that I'm as young as my youngest student.
Yeah.
So that is, it's really scary, the new things that are coming about. And one way we can stay innovative is to learn from our students.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In technology, they are far ahead of me, and I don't care who I learn from.
Exactly.
I think model I use.
Really important to be on eye level, right? And not teaching, but really like having a learning space, for both sides, for students and also for me personally. Yes,
Dr. Lawrence, would you like to say?
I would like to add to that, Dr. Motilal. I'm always as updated as my last visit to Pondicherry. So I would say traveling, going to other places is sometimes even more fun than reading big books, to be honest. And to be honest, I have the impression I can travel north and south and west and east, and I always come back with new ideas, with things which I have to see differently, because all my colleagues at the partner university had a different take on that, which is surprising. We all live in our bubbles. Dr. Motilal, we want to see you at Rhein-Campus.
Sure, Professor Bergman, you are 100% true. The reason is that if we travel, automatically we don't need to put any effort. Automatically, learning happens on its own. The
Yeah.
simple observation is something like new. We absorb ideas, the culture, the way what we see something. So all that happens. And fortunately, again, here what is happening is the developed countries uh, whose standard of living is higher, whose income is higher, they keep on traveling, and therefore, generally, innovation and standard of living will be higher. Whereas the people in the other part of the world, where the living is like a survival every day, there it becomes a question of like traveling is the least priority for them because this is an additional unnecessary burden for them. So
Yeah.
most people don't travel, and unfortunately, they don't explore novel things, diversity, all that they miss. Anyway, the world is changing, improving, and so let's hope something good.
And in our project, we are very, very fortunate, even for the students. For your students in India, we are offering 850 euros per month during the time they're here, plus the travel. To be quite honest, that is extremely generous. That is more than some of the German students get from their parents when they live in Rhein campus, for example. So fortunately, this is actually a good project where this is balanced out. We are putting all the money into the Indian students who are coming over. The German students have to pay for their own travel and accommodation there. But this is a great opportunity. The same is true for the guest lecturers. It is really a handsome amount of money that they get for coming over. Usually they say that they didn't spend all of that. So let's all pack our suitcases.
That's really wonderful because the traveling really makes us learn something and carry baggage, the values and all what we learn. And today, in fact, morning I was sharing about the Germany, though it is just one of like India is one of the large states, its exports are more than $1 trillion per annum, and it is the engineering powerhouse. That is why, and see, like as Dr. Uma and Victor pointed, that there is a lot of competition among our students to fly to Germany. And because of particularly your generosity. So thank you once again.
Actually, in this masterclass week, we are traveling to Germany, France, and Switzerland.
Virtual travel,
Think innovatively and say you have mind traveled.
It is a virtual industrial tour.
Yes. And really all thanks to such a wonderful speaker like Dr. Fee Steinhoff. You have shared very good information, expertise, and done it so well that you have triggered a lot of thoughts. You could see the chat box, you could see the questions there. I'm sure students have a lot more and they are wanting to come to your classes.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to have you in my class. So it was really a pleasure to be here. And to be the first one in your master class.
Yes.
Primary effect. Great.
And as a close to the first masterclass session of the IMW 2022, we'd like to thank everybody who has been into this meet and in the YouTube link. We thank our speaker, Fee Steinhoff. We thank all our colleagues, all our students who have been into the meet and the YouTube. And we thank other friends who may have watched on the YouTube live stream. Thank you very much. And we hope that we'll continue this thought and this processing all this innovation in our heads. And one day we will have students sitting in Dr. Fee Steinhoff's classes.
Thank you so much.
And also welcome you to Pondicherry University when our campus opens.
That would be really great. I have to talk with Laurent about that, how we do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you. And bye, everybody. And this is the close of day 2 and masterclass 1. See you tomorrow, same time for masterclass 2. Bye.
And
Bye-bye.
can we have a group picture, please?
Yes.
With a thumbs up?
Before we leave the screen,
Yeah.
please, as many of you as possible, please try to come get your video on, right, so that we can have some good screenshots. What is the nice gesture that we'll make today, Victor? Yesterday we had the Korean heart.
Thumbs up.
Today, what do we do?
Well, I think
We'll leave it to Dr. Fee to select the gesture today, the innovation. management.
Okay.
What would you like us to do?
I take a heart, you know, like having joyful experiences for customers and also for us.
Yes.
Not that easy, right, to make it. Great. Done?
Done with the screenshots? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. All the best.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lawrence. Bye, Fee. Yes. Guys, you got the good screenshots today?
Yes, a lot.
Yesterday I was busy with the Korean heart and today I was busy with this heart.